Hey Capricorn, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer and I'm here today with your May 2023 monthly horoscope. It's going to be a big month. We have Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius. We have Jupiter moving into Taurus. We have a lunar eclipse. Lots of stuff is going on. But before I start, a little bit of business. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So I am referring to Capricorn rising. The houses that I refer to will be based on Capricorn rising. This is also applicable if you're a Capricorn moon or a Capricorn sun, but the house system may not be the same. This is also, my videos are based on the Pacific time zone. So if you are in another location on the planet, please adjust for your position on the planet. Okay, Capricorn, let's start with Pluto retrograde, which begins on May 1st, 2023. Pluto has been at 0 degrees Aquarius. Aquarius is your second house. It's been there since March, about March 25th, giving us just a glimpse of what it will be like when Pluto moves into Aquarius in January 2024 and stays there until 2044. This second house for you is the house of resources, the house of your money, the house of your skills. It also is the house of your voice and how you use your voice. And being Aquarius, it's going to be an opportunity to really liberate yourself from any restraints, anywhere you've held yourself back from truly letting yourself launch and expand. By nature, Capricorn is a builder. Capricorn represents leadership, and it represents government and authority. And oftentimes people think of Capricorn as a bit repressing, a bit depressing. It can stoke our fears. Capricorn rules history. But I want to offer this. Saturn ruled the golden age, where Saturn gave mankind tools and resources to build wealth, to know how to plant and how to heal through plant medicine. So there is a lot of things about the Capricorn energy that is very bountiful. So as you liberate yourself from some of the old definitions of Capricorn, you know, oftentimes it's depicted as the old goat. And I often, more times than not, see it as the baby goat. And there is no way I cannot giggle and laugh when I watch a baby goat dance around the farm. So I want to offer you this because Jupiter is going to move into your 5th house of enjoyment and pleasure and romance, but we're not there yet. Let's talk a little bit more about Pluto. So Pluto is going to begin a retrograde on the 1st of May that will last until October. It will retrograde back into your sign, your 1st house, and traverse the last 3 degrees, 27, 28, and 29 of Capricorn. This is going to be a final renovation. It's almost as if the construction crew is going back into the house of yourself and looking with a fine-tooth comb about where we need to, spruce this up and polish this up and maybe replace this or that. It does not feel like it's a complete renovation as much as it is putting the final touches is the way I want to look at it. I want to offer it that way because I really believe that of all the signs in the zodiac, and not just because of Pluto, but overall, I feel like Capricorn has been rewriting the story for themselves. And I personally have been enjoying watching the evolution of Capricorn. We see that as Pluto moves from your 2nd house into your 1st house and then goes back into your 2nd house, you're going to start to really trust your new perception. You're going to, I believe, use the history of your family, your childhood, your earthly experience, and rather than having it hold you back anymore, I feel as if it's going to give you wings to fly. And I think this is really, really important for you in the sense of it gives people around you an opportunity to rewrite the story they know about you as you give life to the more lighter sides of yourself. We have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio at 14 degrees on May 5th. This eclipse in Scorpio is in your 11th house of hopes and dreams. It is a house naturally ruled by Capricorn. It's normally Aquarius, and Saturn co-rules that house, so it is influenced by you. And I want to offer it this way because Saturn rules rewards, but they're not rewards that are given out willy-nilly. Saturn wants to see you really be tenacious in your endeavors, to continue on rather than to give up. And so here, when I see this lunar eclipse, there's an illumination of some kind coming for you that is going to illuminate your hopes and dreams. It's going to give you an opportunity to see a wisdom of some of the situations you've gone through. And the renovation of your first house hasn't been easy. You know, Pluto's energy is never easy in the beginning because it digs deep into the places where we hold ourselves small, where we say, I can't because of this. Pluto will say, you can, and that doesn't matter. And this is where it gets a little rough for Capricorn. So now, as we see this eclipse happening in the house of your hopes and dreams, in the house of the cosmic collective, in the house of futuristic thoughts and of invention and of raw genius, we're going to see you start to implement this new version of yourself in a way that you maybe not have experienced before. At the same time, the lunar eclipse takes place. Again, that's on May 5th at 10:34 a.m. Pacific time. The sun will be conjunct Uranus. So the eclipse is a full moon. So the moon is in Scorpio, the sun is in Taurus, and Uranus has been traversing Taurus for since about 2017. And this is, to me, this idea of Uranus being in Taurus conjunct the sun is adding to this sort of 11th house dynamic. Uranus naturally rules the 11th house. Saturn co-rules the 11th house. Here we have this lightning strike of an idea, this lightning strike of an awareness, an epiphany, something where I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was doing that all this time. And in that awareness, a shift takes place. And that shift gives you an opportunity to really trust this new version of yourself. We have Venus making aspects to both Neptune and Jupiter on the day of the eclipse. The first one Venus is making is a square to Neptune. And that is really, Venus here is representing my skills, representing my self-worth, representing my ability to make money. And the square to Neptune is where I have not allowed myself to be seen. I feel as if this is a place where, you know, Neptune it rules the 12th house where we feel unseen. It rules the unconscious. But here, Pisces is actually your 3rd house. So this is going to be where there's this kind of tense moment between your 6th house of service, Gemini, Venus traversing that, where you have felt obligated, where you have felt dutiful, where you have felt committed to community, to your siblings, to your Geminian energies. That's everything to do with your communications, your workmates, your teammates, your neighborhood. And then there's this 3rd house, a Neptune energy, where you're getting these more spiritual concepts. These ideas are coming to these creative things that you want to birth into the new version of your life. And I feel as if that square is representing sort of the old version and the new version conflicting, and you, Capricorn, having to make a focused and concentrated effort to implement the new version of yourself rather than defaulting to the old version, which would paralyze you in fear or depress you because you haven't made or amassed what you wanted to in a certain period of time. This is about taking the time restraints off it and understanding that manifestations can happen almost instantaneously when we are truly aligned to our inner knowing, our deeper truth, and to source energy or God, whatever name you want to call it, because Venus is also making a sextile to Jupiter in Aries, and Aries is your fourth house. So this is giving you an opportunity to be brave and to be courageous in looking at how your fourth house energies have supported you. They may have initially felt harsh and difficult, and yet they could set a tone for moving forward. As a intuitive and as a person who's studied various schools of spirituality, I have learned that oftentimes what we call light workers come into this experience in harsh circumstances. And those harsh circumstances are what are the rocket fuel for their desires. And so it propels them very quickly on a path. I feel as if this is the potentials for Capricorn as Venus makes this sextile to Jupiter in Aries, giving you an opportunity to really reassess your faith, your beliefs, and then moving into a foreign emotional land that is no longer tethering you to an old story, but is instead the platform to launch you into a new story. It's an integration, not a release. On the 7th of May, Venus will enter Cancer. Cancer is your house of partnerships. This is a warm, fuzzy place for Venus to be. She quite enjoys the comforts of home and hearth here. And I want to offer it this way because I personally have been feeling as if Venus moving into Cancer this year is going to make us very nostalgic, wanting to eat the foods of our childhood, wanting to watch the television shows, and remembering the more pleasant and again, I want to use melancholy, nostalgia, all those warm, fuzzy feelings that Cancer can offer us. It's also Venus entering Cancer is going to give us an awareness of how we being Capricorn, give and receive love, how we respond emotionally to things, and are we embracing the evolved version of Capricorn and allowing ourselves to receive compliments and love and support from other people. Oftentimes, Capricorn will feel like it has to build on its own. The goat will just, bolt up the mountain, and it doesn't mean to appear to be a loner, but it can sometimes feel like if I don't do it myself, it won't get done properly. So here, I think Venus is going to give you an opportunity to really assess all these dynamics when it comes to not only your intimate partnerships, but also the partnerships you've created with business associates and people that you have legal contracts with. We have Mercury turning direct in Taurus. This is your 5th house. And I think your 5th house is getting extremely lit up, as well as your 11th house in the month of May. Jupiter will spend about a year in your 5th house of pleasure, personal pleasure. The performer in you, the one that wants to put your talents, your expression, your comedic flair, whatever it is that you enjoy about your talents, this is an opportunity to capitalize on them, to expand them, to create material wealth through them. Jupiter by nature rules business relationships, business partnerships. It rules philosophy. It rules ideologies. It rules religion and faith. It rules social sciences. It rules foreign lands, foreign people, foreign cultures, and diversity. It literally rules geography as we move along the planet. So I want to offer this opportunity for expansion is coming. And I think that what Pluto was doing in your 1st house was really teeing up this opportunity. Jupiter goes around the Zodiac about once every, depending on retrogrades, it could be 12 to 12 years or more, because it can spend, it depends on again, on the retrogrades. So this opportunity doesn't happen very often. And so when Pluto moved into Capricorn in 2008, it was starting to tee up the energies that would make you aware of your own psychological makeup, so that as Jupiter moved into your 5th house, you're more willing to let your history be the story behind you and start to build a story moving forward that capitalizes on your talents, on your creativity, on your sense of humor, and potentially even bringing in children, because the 5th house is the house of conception. We will see initially Jupiter making a square to Pluto in Aquarius. It will also make a square to Mars, as Mars is exiting Cancer and about to enter Leo. And this is teeing up a grand fixed square that we will experience the second half of May and into early June, which is a little tense, well, a lot tense, but we're going to get to that in a minute. Before that happens, we have a new moon in Taurus, again, lighting up your 5th house. I was watching Molly McCord the other day, and she mentioned that the moon cycles have shifted, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. We had 2 new moons in Aries in April 2023, and we have, what happened is we had the 2 new moons, two new moons, which then put the lunar eclipse full moon at the beginning of May, and then we'll have our new moon on the 19th, which is changing the cycle over the next few months. So where we normally plant our seeds in the darkness of the new moon, and then we head towards the full moon and an illumination, now we get to start with the illumination and then plant our seeds. So it feels like it's going to give us a leg up for a little bit. And this new moon is in very favorable aspects to both Pluto, where it's making a trine in Aquarius, it's making a sextile to Mars in Cancer, and it's making a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. And again, Pisces is your 3rd house. So I feel as if Capricorns get an opportunity to really start to think about how I want to creatively build my future, build it in a way that is purporting both fun and a sense of accomplishment. And now I think we're braiding those things together. One of the things that's very powerful about this eclipse season is that Mars is the ruler of both the new solar eclipse, the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, and the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So there is a call to bravery and action. And that bravery feels like it's coming from a deep psychological place. I'm not being brave in my physical actions. I'm being brave in addressing where I hold myself small, where I hold myself back, where I hold myself in a sense of obligation and duty to something I don't even find likable or favorable or fun in any way. And I think that's why these sextiles to Mars and to Neptune are actually bringing up more of an illumination. This new moon, I'm planting the seeds of my bravery, of what I need in the way of my own self-care, in the what I need to feel nurtured and loved, in the way of expressing my creativity and my what I find pleasurable and enjoyable. I think this is so important for Capricorn, because as you stand in leadership for these dynamics, you actually offer invitations to those around you to find this to be an important aspect to the human experience. Up until now, humans have judged themselves by their productivity. And when they're having fun, they don't consider themselves productive. And I think this is what Pluto's been doing in your 1st house, is deconstructing the fear-based dynamics and antiquated structures that we have enslaved ourselves to for millenniums. And now we're going to go into a place when Pluto moves into Aquarius, we start to recognize that our thoughts are the impetus for manifestation, and we're going to revolutionize the earthly experience. It will not be void of challenges or problems problems or darkness, but it will be perceived in a way that serves the light much more clearly. So I think this is very powerful. We have around the 20th, after the new moon, we have this grand fixed cross. I'm sorry, I want to say cross because I keep seeing the opposition to the nodes and the opposition to Mars and Pluto, but it's a square. And this square feels very tight. It's in the fixed energy. And what I think it is Pluto and Mars. Mars is now in Leo. Pluto is still in Aquarius. And it is actually, Pluto is kind of yelling across the schoolyard to Mars, are you going to be brave enough to stop being angry long enough to evolve past this? Are you going to be brave enough to see where resentments have held you back? Are you going to be strong enough to see how you communicate with others? And if you're being impatient, frustrated, or sharp with them, this is co-creating the experience that may be frustrating you. Now, Mars isn't ruling Capricorn in any way, but this fixed square is giving you a piece of information that I think is super powerful. Leo is your 8th house of transformation. And I think that's where you're wanting. That's what you've been striving for the whole time that Pluto's been going through your 1st house. So, I just lost my train of thought for a quick second. Yeah, because Cancer is your 7th house. Leo is your 8th house. And I think the transformation that's being offered and the tension between your 8th house and your 2nd house is this sense of responsibility to where you have been or to honor where you've been. The 2nd house by nature rules your skills, right? It rules, Taurus rules the 2nd house by nature. So it rules craftsmen and it rules chefs and it rules sustainable agricultural things. Capricorn also rules agriculture. So there could be this idea that you are planting metaphoric seeds in the 8th house of Leo, creativity that is causing a tension between what is expected of you, what you have been, what skills you have been using to create your material security. And what I want to offer you is that you don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can give life to a new version of yourself while you allow the old version of yourself to sustain you materially, give you the resources to be brave when you're coming over into this new lane. And once you get rooted in the new lane, you can start to let the other lane go. That's what I think this big fixed square is all about. It's going to literally go between your 8th house and your 2nd house, and then your 5th house and your 11th house. So the 5th house is your creativity, your personal pleasure and fun. The 11th house is your hopes and your dreams and what you want to foster there. And again, I want to offer this because Capricorn by nature rewards over time. It rewards for the efforts and the tenacity that you have shown. And here, Capricorn, this is the tenacity to rise above your fears, to rise above your story, and to allow that story to be the beautiful fertilizer for your new garden. That's the way I want to put it. We're going to have a couple of days at the end of the month that I think are going to be very emotional because the moon is going to join Mars on the 24th, and that's going to trigger this grand fixed square. It's going to trigger the opposition to Pluto. That's then going to trigger the squares to both the nodes. And we have Jupiter creeping up on the north node, starting at a conjunction. And that conjunction is going to make everybody ravenous and impatient for the transformation. So rather than giving up and defaulting back to the old story, this is where Capricorn gets to push through. We also will have on the 21st, Mars will officially enter Leo and the sun will officially enter Gemini. And on the 31st, the moon is now in a conjunction with the south node. And this to me feels like we end the month on a real emotional note because it bubbles up the story of where we've been, the story that we're used to. The South Node rules in our natal chart, our karmic signature, our habitual beliefs and patterns and patterns of behavior and thought. So as we've been renovating those, because the South Node is in Scorpio, it's been digging deeper and deeper into that psychological imprint. And with Scorpio being your 11th house, this is a time when you may inadvertently be feeling like things aren't happening and they're not moving forward, and you're just wanting to go back to what the way things have been, what appears to maybe be easier because it's familiar. And this is an opportunity to just let this day kind of go by, to understand that it's part of the emotional roller coaster every once in a while when we are endeavoring a new dynamic to feel tired and exhausted, and to honor that and to rest and to reevaluate ourselves from that place. Meaning it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be down. It's okay to doubt ourselves every once in a while. But will we give in to those feelings, or will we persevere beyond them? And if anybody can persevere beyond them, it's Capricorn. So it's a big, big month because it's teeing up a lot of long-term dynamics. We also have, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that Mercury was going to go direct. So I want to, again, reiterate that that was a very emotionally reflective Mercury retrograde, a Mercury retrograde that was asking us how we self-care, how we allow for that. And the goat will inadvertently push beyond physical limits sometimes. And I think honoring some of those physical limits is in many ways honoring your emotional limits. And as you honor them and you give a little bit of rest to them, Spirit has an opportunity to bring in inspirations that you could not have imagined. I feel like one of the biggest transformations and one of the biggest challenges of this grand fixed cross is for Capricorn to allow for an inspiration to come through versus just trying to push and work your way towards it. Pound the pavement, make those phone calls. It might be a really great idea for you to give yourself an opportunity to say, you know what, Spirit, if indeed this new part of me is fertile, and if this is the direction that's going to bring me joy and happiness, I would like you to give me an open door. Give me a sign. Have somebody give me a call that supports this endeavor. You will know personally what that sign could be. Call it forth. Use it like an experiment. Play with it. And as you do that, the universe will answer your call, and that will give you greater courage and willingness to walk down a path that you may feel is unfamiliar and is not tested or can be trusted yet to supply what you need in the way of material security. And yet there is a very good possibility that there's more material security down that untested, that new lane than there ever was in the old one. All right, Capricorn, it's a big month. It's a big, big month. And you're going to enjoy Jupiter in your 5th house for over a year. So take advantage of those energies. Allow yourself the privilege of play and fun and laughter and frivolity. All right, that's it for me. If you'd like to get a reading with me, either an intuitive reading or an astrology reading, I am available. My information is below in the description. And please join me Sunday mornings live, 11 a.m. Pacific time, where I do angel readings and we look at the week ahead's transits and we get the angel's advice for that. And please, of course, like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff we do on YouTube. I'll see you next time. Peace out.